Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Richard. I'm back with Kev for your Lions Raw full match reaction to Aston Villa nil, Arsenal 2. Before we get stuck into it, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. I think we're literally 8 or 9 away from 4,600 subscribers. So please, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button to help spread the word of the channel. We know we're on the road to 5,000, but yeah, getting over 4,600 tonight would be amazing. Even if we're slightly disappointed after today's result, get your comments in, your thoughts on today. We're going to talk everything around the match performances and a little bit around maybe where Villa might need to strengthen. First of all, though, Kev, how are you doing this evening?
I'm all right, Rich. I'm all right. How are you, mate? How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm a bit. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's very early season, obviously, second game of the season. So it was a game that was shown as an early season game. Both teams weren't fully at it yet, and both teams really respected each other. So it's difficult to get too disappointed, but at the same time, it does feel like a little bit of an opportunity missed.
It does, but I think there's also a sense of overall contentment. I think with the performance, it's weird actually. I was thinking this earlier. Like I've made this point about the England national team over the years, in terms of particularly the Southgate era, that I felt in key moments we've been left wanting, but I've often not at the end of the games thought, oh, we've kind of done it, as much as we could have done there. I'm not saying Villa were complete today in the performance, but I didn't come off at the end of that game thinking I didn't play the game, to be clear. I didn't come off. I didn't at the end of that game think that it was like an Arsenal, like, ran away with it, or we've basically like not put it out there. I thought that we played pretty well, and we obviously created chances. And look, when the top teams play each other, if you go back in the day, go back 20 years, sometimes Chelsea beat Man United, sometimes Arsenal beat Liverpool. And that's just the way it goes. Look at last season. We battered Man City at home and they battered us away. Like, so maybe it's just one of those ones. And
But
as
this,
McGinn said, it's a slight setback, but it's not massive.
no, exactly, and this is the thing I was saying in our kind of group chat and other Villa fans group chats as well. That it's kind of slightly ironic that last season's performance, where we beat them 1-0, they had all the chances and we didn't. After we scored a great goal, we defended really well and we rode our luck, but we actually played better arguably today and created more chances today, but lost the game.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely perfectly sums it up. And I think also, and I'm sure we'll talk about this during this pod, but I think a lot of our key players are not firing at the moment. And
Mm.
if you look at whether that's obviously a Watkins, clearly we'll talk about him, John McGinn, Leon Bailey. I think some of these players that last season were absolutely cracking for us um, are probably not quite there yet. And you've only got to look at all of them. I think we're away with their international teams, obviously, particularly maybe not so much John McGinn, but obviously Ollie went right to the final. Doesn't look quite right. If these chances fall to him in a month or two, is he likely to score at least one of them? I probably guess he probably would. And it gives me a huge amount of confidence to know that we've still done that to an Arsenal team that are many people's tip for the title. And I mean, we should have been 2-0 up, shouldn't we? Really, let's be clear.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's just dive into the game and that situation. I mean, the game hinged on, I guess, three big, three real big moments, and two of them were chances to Ollie Watkins. And I did say in my little promotion for the episode, wasteful Watkins, and to to miss one chance is bad and bad, but to miss two like that, albeit it was a phenomenal save from David Raya, you just can't do that against a team like Arsenal.
No, I actually think, studying the one where obviously came back off the bar, I actually think he's quite unlucky there, because the angle the
Yes,
ball's coming
yeah.
at, to try and direct that with the ball, the pace and the sort of trajectory of the ball going the other way is very hard to sort of direct that with any kind of power the opposite direction. Um, So that was probably quite unlucky, and credit to the keeper. The first one's the one for me. I mean, he's got basically an open goal, and you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to be cute, give the keeper the eyes, keep it in the corner, and doesn't even hit the target. And it's disappointing because you one up a Villa team these days. You go one up at home against anybody, against Bayern Munich, Barcelona, or Barnsley, and you fancy us to win it. You go two up, then you're pretty much thinking it's game over, aren't you? Unless you're playing Brentford last season. But you get my point, right? It's one of those situations where you feel such confidence in this team, and you knew that Arsenal would get chances. And let's be clear, the goal they scored, the first one, it was a lucky deflection in the box that fell to him. If it isn't for that, then we don't probably push on, and then they don't get that second goal a lot like.
Yeah, well, goals change games and moments change games. And I felt like once that save had been made by Raya, phenomenal save that it was, you got to give him credit because he had to change his body. He was beaten for the Onana deflection, hits the bar. He's turned his back and he bounces straight up to get back in and react to it. I mean, it's phenomenal save. I don't care what anyone says. It's phenomenal save.
They'll be doing that all the time in
Uh,
training, won't they? Though that's a
yeah,
classic
yeah,
get up
and it's
quickly.
pure reaction. Yeah, and then but that kind of took a little bit of steam out of Villa. I felt, and then the substitution our substitutions, albeit it wasn't as instant as it was for Arsenal today, but our substitutions changed the game last week. Trossard comes on, first touch of the ball, scores, and yeah, it was one of those things. Whereas our substitutes, I kind of this isn't a criticism of Unai Emery in any way, shape, or form, but if you look at the timings of the substitutions, I just felt like McGinn was still playing well. I thought McGinn was still getting the better of whoever he was coming up against. Sometimes it was Declan Rice, sometimes it was Thomas Partey, sometimes it was even going up against Gabriel or Saliba. I felt like he was still getting the better of them, and I just felt like we lost a little bit of the momentum when they went off. I know what Watkins. It was fine to bring Duran on, but it just felt a little bit disjointed when that substitution was made. Trossard comes on and scored, and then when Barkley and Matson come on, Party scores straight after. It just the rhythm of the game it just didn't quite work out as well as maybe Emery would have wanted it to.
Well, that's football, isn't it? Because
Yeah, yeah,
a week
yeah,
before,
exactly.
we're waxing lyrical about
No
the
problem with the
combination.
substitutions.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the way it works.
it is, and let's be clear. Like the week before, it could have been a situation where West Ham nick it at the end, and Duran doesn't score that chance, and then West Ham nick it at the end, and today Duran comes on and scores a winner. And that's how it go. I did think actually Toure saw the best and worst of Duran because I didn't think he was great when he came on. I felt like his runs weren't great. I felt like he didn't use the ball very well. His passes weren't quite on it, and I don't think
He
he did
put
actually.
Ramsey in with a really good pass.
Yeah, there was. I think there was like one situation, but I felt other than that, in the 25 minutes or so he got, I don't think he was particularly effective.
Mm,
Um, I feel like Ramsey wasn't as good as he was last week. He looked a little bit tentative actually when he was through on goal because he's pacey Ramsey.
mm.
I was disappointed he didn't get that shot off properly because you've got to be aware, I think, of that player coming in. Someone I'm saying to my lad all the time, you got to be aware of what's around you, and he's got probably 3-4 seconds when he's in to do something with it. But that's just the way it goes. It's just the way it goes, and it is disappointing. I thought it was interesting actually as well with Unai's comments at the end because he does allude to the fact that they're probably going to do some more business, and as in like
Yeah,
I know what I need to know about the squad and the team going into the last week of the transfer window,
yeah.
and I think we can see, can't we?
Yeah, I'll talk that in a bit. Definitely
Yep,
can see
yep.
areas. But do you think, I mean, it was such a game of chess and it was such, both teams respected each other and we really physically matched Arsenal up until kind of that 65th, 66th minute. But do you think that in that kind of, I guess, transition period when you make the substitutions, would you suggest that Arteta went right, step on it, go on an attack in this time period while Villa are maybe adjusting to a substitution? Do you think he would be that clinical to kind of do something like that? Because it just seemed strange that the two goals happened a minute after we made a double substitution.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think one goal often can lead to two goals, can't it? I mean, look at Man City. Two goals led to three goals in 3 minutes, and you can get them like buses, can't you, in bunches? And look, I mean, if the whole situation with the goal, we look pretty comfortable. There's a ball that is kind of a bit of a deflection. I think Dini gets his foot to the ball, actually, good tackle, but the ball doesn't really move. It just stays where Saka is. He manages to, I think, to get the pass, which he just about keeps in.
Mm.
I mean, they didn't do any kind of VAR type, sort of check for it, but I'm assuming obviously it was just about in. Bit of the ball was at least beyond the line.
Yeah, it was in. It was
And
in.
then we're clearing it, and then there's just a deflection when the tackle happens, and it just falls straight to Trossard running onto it, and it's just a combination of things that kind of go against you. The tackle in another 5 times he does that tackle, the ball deflects at least 3 or 4 yards the other way, and the pass therefore isn't on. Another 5 or 6 times it happens, the ball goes out, and another probably 25 or 26 times the ball gets cleared rather than deflecting to someone in the box. And the situation for us in the first half was Gabriel, wasn't it? He got his pocket picked, and then all of a sudden Watkins is in and he scores that, majority of the time when it happens. And it's just these moments. Once that happens, then the game is probably a little bit more. Villa are probably going to push a little bit more, and it just doesn't help, does it? Because you've got new players trying to adapt to it. You've got. I thought interestingly, I actually did think McGinn was
My-
fading,
yeah,
fading a bit.
my thought I mean, Spin said there. Not Trossard comes on about that time. I totally understand that. It's not that it's not the point of who comes on. It's the point of Villa make two changes. Is it that clinical that Arteta goes when, if and when Villa do this, go on the attack, do this. Odegaard, you get into this space, or Saka, you get into this space, and try and disrupt. And that's, I don't know. I'm just, they're that clinical in terms of how they think about things. That would they use that as a strategy? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's my only thought. And the second goal, Barkley was too deep. Like, he didn't go out and press. Like, would it have been a situation where he goes like, Party, you go into that area, like, as soon as there's that substitution, you go into that area and you might get an option, you might get a shot.
yeah, but then I would say if Arsenal are the team that they are, you'd think they'd be a bit more on it in the first half. The first half was actually at times pretty drab, other than obviously, a couple of things that happened really, but there wasn't much that happened in that
They
first. And
they didn't need to attack us though. We're the home. Like, they don't need to do that.
yeah, but you think if you're a proper team that are going for the title, I
Mm,
can't imagine a situation where Man City are going to sit back against any team, whoever it is, away from home. Because you go in at half time with a goal lead, then the
mm.
onus is on the home team to attack even more, and then you end up winning 2 or 3-0. So I actually felt it played into our hands, being the home team, attacking the whole in the second half. The crowd up for it. First home game of the season. That they didn't really lay a glove on us in the first half. Um,
No, they absolutely didn't. But I don't think Arteta would have been too disappointed with that.
No, no, I don't think so. But I just think it plays into our hands a little bit as well, because if that chance does go in, then we're 1-0 up. They're chasing us, and it's us winning it 2 or 3-0.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Well, we were actually that first, that, there's been times where second halves have started and we've conceded a lot of the time and we've looked really poor.
Yeah,
Whereas today, I thought the first 15 minutes of that second half, I thought we looked really good, and
yeah,
we obviously should have been 1-0 up. We absolutely should have been 1-0 up. So that's the disappointing thing, and I guess that they were clinical, and yes, you're right. It opens up a little bit. Villa have to try and put something into the game. One thing I would say is we did certainly match them physically, and Onana and Tielemans in that
yeah.
midfield really did match them. Rogers, we'll talk about him in a second.
McGinn.
Konsa and Torres as well. But he does take it out of you. They are an extremely physical side, and you could see that last 20 minutes or so, we never really got, other than that Ramsey chance, we never really got behind them. We never really made them stretch and strain. Like, Gabriel and Saliba just kind of blocked everything, and we just couldn't get through them. We couldn't. They're a big side, man. They're a physical side, and they will grind you down at some point if you don't take your chances, particularly.
Yeah, Saliba's a player, isn't he? He's a proper
Oh,
player,
he's
isn't he?
brilliant.
I mean, everything about him. He's just, he's got it all. He's got it all. He's calm on the ball. He's strong. He's quick. Recovery's brilliant. He just looks like an absolute class act. I think and Gabriel's been pretty rock solid. Long, obviously, other than that mistake he made when we had that first chance. Yeah, they're a really good team. They're a really good team. I know we were all bullish with our predictions, me included. But I'm not disappointed. I think it gives
No.
us a lot of confidence. I don't think that yet there'll be many situations where we play with those kind of chances and we'll lose many games this season if we have that. And that's saying that when we know that some of our key players were not really at the levels that they've been at in the past. And let's be clear as well. I know we've got Ramsey back. I know Rodgers has really come through, but Bailey's not where he was last season. We don't have Diaby. We haven't replaced Diaby. For all of Diaby's not being great, he was a good option off the bench. Pace, power, pedigree. I don't know if we've necessarily got that now. If you're bringing on a Philogene, I know Ramsey's a great option, and Ramsey when he's at it, he's brilliant, but he's not as attacking as he say as a Bailey or a Diaby coming off the bench in terms of options. And Duran wasn't the Duran of last week. If he'd been the Duran of last week, then maybe something different happens. Also, as well, like set pieces, we didn't really have many chances. Is that down to delivery, the way it drops in the box? It's these little moments sometimes where last week we get a set piece, first one, bang, Anana, 3 or 4 minutes, 1-0. And again, we didn't really get many of those situations today. And credit to Arsenal because I thought they defended pretty well. Other than that,
They
obviously those
did.
mistakes.
They did really well, and they're a top side, and it was great that we did match them. We really did, and they respected us fully in terms of how they approached the game, 100%. Just in terms of those performances, then, so I was very impressed again with Amadou Onana. I thought he was very good today. There was
Yep.
one point where he ran through and he was trying to drive us forward, which was excellent. I thought Tielemans was very good. So yeah, just a little word on those two first. I thought they competed very well against Partey, Rice, and Odegaard.
Yeah, well, for anyone saying, the loss of Louise, and again, let's be clear, I absolutely love Louise. As you know, probably my favourite player in the Villa team the last couple of seasons. But we're just a different team now, and I don't think that loss has been huge. Maybe some of the passing creativity you could argue, but really, I don't think either Tielemans or Onana you can critique them in any way really at all from the first two games. Tielemans I thought was really good again. I thought Onana was excellent. I thought really good. It gives that physicality both ends of the pitch. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I
Did
really
you
think
see
that.
that bit where in the corner and he was like he was
Yeah,
halfway inside their half and we did a short corner and he just ran and
yeah,
he got on the end of it.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
like it was
yeah,
like a Sunday league setup that was from Austin McPhee. I was like, that's like, oh, so Austin, what should we do for the corner? Right, what we'll do is we'll have Onana standing way outside the
yeah,
box and he'll just pretend to be looking around as if he's not. Someone
yeah,
will pass it and he'll just run in.
yeah. Yeah, I also saw as well, like, but he's the biggest guy on the pitch by about 8 foot, and he's like going to the ref, watch this, watch this, watch this, like as if they're all over me. It's unfair. Look at me, poor old little old me. He's getting bullied here, and he's like the absolute king of the jungle in that area. Like he's just a mountain man, of mountain, isn't he?
Yeah,
Um, it also got me thinking as well, like when we've got a scenario when we've got Tyrone Mings and Onana in that box at the same time, then that's going to be a real potent threat, isn't it? So yeah, it'd be nice to have another massive unit option, wouldn't it?
yeah. George is in the chat saying good performance, good intensity, too loose in possession, didn't look after the ball well enough. I don't agree. I don't agree, but he was at the game. I can't, from watching it on the TV, I thought Arsenal gave the ball away as many times as we gave the ball away. I thought it was just a battle of two teams that were physically strong. I thought Watkins was wasteful, but I know George thinks that we missed Louise, but I really didn't think we missed Louise. I thought we would have got
Mm.
totally overrun if Louise would have been playing today. Like that's my opinion. I think it. Yeah, I think our two midfielders in Tielemans and Onana have looked at very early stages have looked a far better proposition for how the Premier League is now in terms of the physicality than Louise and Kamara or Louise and McGinn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly I guess the point I was just alluding to really is that I don't think with the way that we play now, I don't think we're going to have many problems. I think they're both fine players. You've got Kamara to come back into that as well. You've got Barrenechea, who again didn't make the squad, who I think could easily slot into one of those roles. You've got Barkley, obviously, so I think we've got some really really fine options there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Barkley needs to get up to speed a little bit, but I do understand. Yeah, totally. Do, before we talk about Morgan Rogers, his absolutely fantastic performance, are you a little bit concerned though on the basis of losing Louise, losing Diaby, and a lot of people saying this in pre-season in terms of replacing the goals?
I am, but as we spoke about maybe a week or two on this pod, I'm going to reserve judgment until we get to the end of the transfer window, because I
Mm.
do still believe that we will bring in someone in the attacking areas that will replace that, and I do still think we'll bring in a defensive option. Hence why maybe we didn't see Carlos today. It could be a little kind of window into what's happening with that. If we get to the end of the window as we are now, then unequivocally I would agree with that point. Absolutely, because whatever you say, Louise, yeah, but he was a penalty merchant. Was scored quite a few of the goals. Was at one point he got 6 or 7 in a row, didn't he, at home? Diaby, for all of his not quite the levels you wanted him to, still got a fairly decent return for goals and assists last season. And it is a bit of a concern if Watkins isn't firing, that you're putting all your hopes on Morgan Rogers dancing through or Duran doing something off the bench. And we know Duran's a bit hit and miss.
Exactly.
So,
Morgan Rogers. Let's talk Morgan Rogers because he was fantastic today.
yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And we've said in pre-season he's looking sharp. We obviously the back end of last season, and he's just he's just a joy to watch when he's running with the ball. And I mean, Declan Rice was hanging off him. Thomas Partey couldn't get near him, and he can do that. I think it was something like 7 dribbles, seven successful dribbles as well, and that's no mean feat across a 90-minute game. To kind of do that at that speed continuously, he is in peak condition at the moment, and yeah, he's a scary prospect. If he can get that end product with an assist, or obviously he should have got one today with Watkins, or goals, he is going to be one scary proposition.
Do you know what it reminds me of watching Morgan Rogers? Ever played football with a toddler? Like,
Yeah,
and they're trying to get the ball off you, and it just you could do it for like 19 hours solid, and they'll never get the ball off you because you just got to keep them at arm's length. Eventually, unless you're a horrible person, you let them have it after about 3 seconds. It felt like they were all toddlers, and he was Morgan Rogers today, because it was just no matter who it was, their biggest units, Party, Rice, it was like, Bosh, get off. I was saying to my lad, I've been saying to him so much, you've got to be physical in football, and that is just the perfect example of it. What I love about him is he'll slow down to let the challenge come, as if to say, I've got this
yeah,
covered,
yeah.
bounce off me, and then I'm going to go again. It's like, and the way you can just stop, start, stop, start. I thought he was absolutely excellent today. We saw the signs in pre-season. I went to the first pre-season game at the mighty Bescott Stadium, and I thought he was the best player on the pitch that day in terms of what he did. Got a couple of goals, and there was good signs, wasn't there, throughout the preseason, even though our preseason was a bit patchy. But he's taken that into this season. He was great last week. I thought he was just tremendous today. I think if his confidence gets up, I could just see him just firing in the goals. I really think he could probably get 10 plus goals this season.
Well, this is it. If he can get 10 plus, I'd like to see him and Ramsey start a game. I don't
Mm,
know how we'd get them in. Obviously, you might have to drop someone like John McGinn, but I'd like to see him and Ramsey start in a game because, like you said, Ramsey was probably a little bit tentative coming on to run with the ball. He did a couple of times, but I thought there was areas where he got the ball on the edge of the box, and he really should have just gone with it. And if you've got him and Rogers doing that, that is real scary. And maybe it's one of them starting out wider, instead of maybe a Bailey, giving
maybe
Bailey a
a
little
bit.
bit of a rest or something, and
That's what
Bailey
I was
coming
thinking.
on, maybe Bailey coming on with half an hour to go, 20 minutes to go for a couple of games to get himself, back into that rhythm.
That's what I was thinking. You could be creative with the formation. I don't. Bailey doesn't look the Bailey that he was last season at the
He's being
moment.
economical, isn't he, with his fitness? You can tell he's not
Mm,
100%. Like he went down today. I don't know if he went over on his ankle or something
yeah,
like that, or twisted his knee, but he's just not. He's not 100. He's probably playing at about 75, 80%. So he's not. I mean, some of the defending he was doing today was brilliant. Like he was the last man back on a couple of occasions,
yeah,
but he hasn't got that zip to get past the player.
yeah, yeah.
But it will come.
He's lacking that. And if you think about where we are now, like to have a situation where we've got a great win away at West Ham, highly fancied this season for a top six challenge. We could have easily won the game today, just the way it went, and we're doing that without Watkins being at it really, Bailey being at it really. Obviously, he had that miss last week when he should have scored as well. The angle wasn't as tight as I think people thought it was. McGinn probably not at the levels he's been at before. These are three key players in the attacking areas for us. We've lost Diaby, we've lost Louise. We haven't really replaced any of them with a first team starter other than Anana. I think there's a lot of confidence we can take from it. I really think there is. But Rogers was. I just thought he was
Scary.
best player on the pitch by
Scary.
a long way. When you consider you've got Saka, you've got Odegaard, you got some of these other players on that pitch that you think would be lighting it up. I just thought that. I mean, they couldn't stop talking about him, could they, in the coverage? He and to have Lee Carsley there as well. I mean, I think
Yeah,
he's doing the right kind of ways to get himself a call up.
definitely. And I mean, I think he was pretty close last season. If he hadn't got injured, I think he was pretty close to making that training squad.
Mm.
And yeah, all the Arsenal fans who are on the reaction shows or whatever, just saying he was fantastic. So yeah, he really, really, really gave himself a lot of credit. And you're right in exactly what you're saying, Kev. There's definitely the whole game had a feel of early season, and it obviously is early season. Like Saka wasn't 100% at it until the last sort of 20, 25 minutes. Havertz wasn't really at it today. Odegaard, until he got a bit of space, after that first goal, we really contained him. He was quite quiet. Declan Rice, as you say, he couldn't really get in the game, and Morgan Rogers was we kind of had the better of him. And then you flip to our team. We've talked about it. Bailey, Watkins, McGinn weren't 100% at it as well. So you can see that that it was one of those games that I don't think, in terms of the performance, it was really good. In terms of not really good. It was good in terms of the matching against Arsenal, like matching up to Arsenal and showing that we are, there or thereabouts with them. I think that was good. But ultimately, I don't think it'll be a game that we will read so much into moving on into the season, because we know that we'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks ahead from now. Will be a much more different proposition.
Yeah, it's just disappointing to be in the bottom half of the league, albeit only
Yeah.
after 2 games.
I didn't realise we were, to be fair.
Yeah, we're like 12th or 13th or something, but
Ah, well.
these things happen. Oh, also, before we move on from the players, spare a thought for the second tier podcast who did that unbelievably bad take now
Oh, for
on
Rogers.
saying we had our pants pulled down with the Rodgers signing. What did he really do? Because since we signed him in January, yeah, I mean that they need to just keep their thoughts to themselves if that's the kind of punditry they've got. So
Yeah,
yeah, anyway,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Just talk right back at the moment. So Matty Cash obviously was carrying a knock.
yeah,
Must have had a fitness test and passed a fitness test, but I thought he was playing all right actually before
yeah.
he had to go off. Nedeljkovic came on, and I mentioned he was a bit rabbit in the headlights. Then he kind of grew into the game. I do think that the players didn't quite trust him enough to give him the ball a lot. Like he was in space a lot of the time, or he was overlapping Bailey a few times, and they didn't give him the ball. But I thought he did okay. My worry though is physicality, and if he is the backup right back to Matty Cash, who we've already said there's question marks over whether he should be the first choice right back in the first place, is that a position that's a little bit concerning to you at the moment?
Well, it is, and I would say also centre half is a concern because let's be clear today, the only real option was Carlos on Conza right back. That was the right option, wasn't it? that was the right option. Clearly, something's going on with Carlos in terms of the move somewhere. And I thought, well, he's brought on young Costa, fair play. I did think he grew into the game. I
He
did
did.
think
He did. I'm not.
it was all right.
Look, Rachel saying there's a young, and I'm fully aware of he's only 18, and to be playing in the Premier League is fantastic. But what I'm saying is, if you're relying on him to be the second choice right back when
Yeah,
we've got Champions League football and we already have question marks over Matty Cash, that's concerning me.
it is a red light flashing, 100%. We knew right back was a problem. Probably over a year ago, we were questioning Cash's consistency in terms of what we were trying to do as a team. Um, Again, I thought Cash was doing okay until he came off. Even if Cash was fit, I'd want us to be getting a top quality right back. Obviously, we've got the links to the Dutch guy, Feyenoord, Hitruda. Look, we know at this level of the transfer window, it is like a domino effect, isn't it? And there needs to be a lot of things moving. A player needs to leave over at Club A to then go to Club B. Club B needs to replace from Club C, and then we take the player from Club B. You get that point. Like it's, I don't know
Well,
where I was going with that.
I don't know, Normie. How many A, B, C's, D's, and E's were you going for?
Well,
Were
this
you
is.
going to go into the do re mi's?
Do you know what's great about that? Then I made it so confusing, and that's exactly how hard I think it is. So I inadvertently balls that up, but
You've
that's
proved your
probably what
point.
what
Yeah.
Monchi and Emery are dealing with. Um, it is standing out, but as I said, but also I think the centre half, because if today Konza or Torres has got a knock, then what are your options? Maybe
Mm.
you got to bring on Carlos, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, I really do think, and like you said, Emery mentioned about getting things done and trying to maneuver things in the window. I also think that had had he not had to bring Costa Nedeljkovic on so early, I think he probably would have taken Bailey off and brought Philogene on. But I don't think he fancied having two young,
Yeah,
sort of less physical players on that right hand side in Philogene and Nedeljkovic. Had Cash stayed fit, I think you'd have probably seen. I think you'd have probably seen Philogene come on for Bailey.
yeah. I was actually thinking the same thing, because I thought Bailey looked like he was not quite at it, and I thought, well, the obvious option is Philogene, and it just never happened. And I just felt like, when you've got Watkins not firing, Duran comes on and isn't as effective as he can be. You've got Ramsey, who wasn't as effective as he can be, and you've got Bailey, then you're struggling. And that's probably why the last 20, 25 minutes, it did peter out a little bit, which
Mm.
was disappointing, because you want it to be rabble rousing, don't you? I'm saying to my kids, don't worry, we can get a goal back here. Remember the Liverpool game last season? No, it's over, Dad. It's over. I'm like, come on. You're like, you're 8 and 10 years old, and you know more than I do. I'm still like what I think a kid should be, believing we can get back into it.
You just
Um,
look at the defense. No, they brought that Calafiori on, who's a big lad. Then they've got Gabriel and Saliba and Ben White. They're all 6'2", 6'3",
yeah,
built. We just couldn't get through them. Just
yeah,
couldn't get through them.
yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It is. It is. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
But yeah,
lot of positives.
right back, centre back, and then I think you said wide player, and I don't know again how much I look. Right, we all got carried away with John Duran scoring the goal last week. We all loved it, and we all love the times when he comes on and does get a goal. But are we really putting all our chips in the basket of John Duran to be the backup striker to Ollie Watkins, especially if Ollie Watkins isn't firing on all cylinders?
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very effective. We know that to get a backup striker with his potential is going to be tricky. But I'd like to think maybe as a club like Aston Villa, firing on, the Champions League, Premier League, and two domestic cup fronts, that you maybe got another option. Another option. Now Cameron Archer's gone. It's just someone else. Maybe someone with a bit more nous, slightly different style of player. Um, I think it would be good for us to have something else. I don't know what we're gonna do. I do expect centre back, right back type cover. We've got obviously that player strongly linked. There's a lot of possible options for that forward player, but I don't know. Do you know what I feel? I feel we need a signing that's going to make people go, "Whoa!" Just to kind of give us that sort of vibe and lift. Not that we're not in a really positive situation, because they said at the start of the coverage today, oh my God, Villa, there's a real buzz about the place. And it's absolutely true. When your first game of the season away at West Ham, like we did, there's positivity. But yeah, it's obviously a slight setback. Do you know what I mean? That kind of feeling we got when we got that mad alert on our phones popped up that we'd signed Danny Ings when no one knew, not even Danny Ings' family knew apparently. Like that level of what Danny Ings was like at the time when he just banged in 20 goals the previous season. That level of whoa. When Coutinho happened, I just think that we need a player to come in like Felix would have been, even if he wouldn't have turned out brilliant. Yes, 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 yes. Alex Boyner, yes. I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah, it would. I think the Gertrude, he'd be brilliant to come in. I think, but yeah, I'm not concerned because I really like the options that we've got and I really like the way that we're playing. It's just I want to see. I think Watkins will this season need rest and he will need someone to back him up and help him. And I'm not too sure if I really like Duran, and there's elements of his game that I really like. I just think with Champions League, domestic cups, and with the Premier League, I think you've got to operate with three forwards. And I'm just a
Yeah,
little, and also probably another wide man, whether that be a player who can play off the left, or whether that's a player who can play you know, with on the right with either Philogene or Bailey. I just think we probably need one more. If Illing Junior, I think he was always going to be one that's going to go out on loan and be one for the future. I think as soon as we saw him in pre-season, we thought,
yeah,
yeah, he's not quite the level yet. Although he's gone to Bologna, who are in the Champions League, so that's a good move for him. But there's definitely areas in the attacking third that I think we need to improve. Or
yeah.
we
And
need additional options. Sorry, not necessarily improvement, just additional options.
yeah, but I think they know it, and I do expect to see. We've got a week now, haven't we? I do expect to see some things happen, some outs, some ins. I do expect to see it because I think this is a real opportunity for us.
Mm.
We talk about Aston Villa. There's some interesting stuff in the chat I can see popping up. There's
Yeah,
an
there's a
there's
there's a
an
bit of a
Arsenal
troll. Yeah,
Arsenal
Arsenal
drop. I
fan
mean,
as a
I
troll
mean
because
credit. You've just won a big
yeah,
game and you're giving it a little bit. And yeah, let's be clear, Arsenal, for what it's worth, they've not won the Champions League, but they are probably a bigger club than Aston Villa in terms of what they've done. Not sure about 10 times bigger, but anyway. But for Aston Villa to be in this situation right now, we've spoke about this a lot in terms of opportunity. You know how I feel about sports. Sports is about opportunities being taken, whether it's Leicester, Denmark, Greece winning the tournaments they won. I love that story of that Australian speed skater, Jason Bradbury. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it after, not during, after the podcast, after you've liked and subscribed. Cheers. Where he's basically the worst speed skater in the race at the Olympics about 20 years ago. He's never going to get anywhere. And on the last bend, all four other skaters crash into each other. And he just goes, and just I've won the gold medal, comes through. You've got to be there ready to take your opportunities in sport. And I look at the situation where the Premier League, probably 10, 15 years ago, I think it was pretty impenetrable in terms of trying to break that down. Aston Villa have done so many of the right things in recent years. As he says, yeah, we were Championship 5 years ago, but look at us now. We stopped winning the league last year because we beat you home and away. This is, I'm not digging you out there, maybe a tiny bit, but this is the level of what we're at right now, where we can do what we did to Man City, absolutely teach them a lesson. And we're going into games now thinking we can beat any team. Sure, we won't, but we're thinking we can. And I think this club right now, we know Man United are going to get better. The Ugarte is going to be a great signing if they get him in. We know Chelsea are going to have to get better at some point. Newcastle are certainly not going to go away. There's clubs that are waiting to be there to knock us off that fourth spot in the league. So when you've got the opportunity, is this almost like our do you buy Janino or do you not buy Janino type moment? Would we have won the league all those years ago? Can we do something this season? I'm not saying win the Premier League, win the Champions League, but can we qualify again for the Champions League and win a domestic cup? And you cement that level of success when you've got Watkins, you've got Martinez, you've got Konza on long-term contracts. You've got the players of the youth and quality of a Jacob Ramsey, a Morgan Rogers. You've got the pedigree of a Pau Torres, etc., etc., etc. This is a moment in time for Aston Villa, and I'd be so surprised if we didn't cement that opportunity in the next week by bringing in some quality reinforcements so we can hit this season hard. Mic drop.
100%. 100%. MC says Sterling loan and then a centre back and a right back. Kevin said the team of Martinez, Konza, Mings, Torres, Matson, Onana, Kamara, Tielemans, Rogers, Bailey, and Duran. When we get this team on the field, we will win. Interesting stuff. Just looking at the stats, and then I'll just talk future games in a second. But stats-wise, Arsenal dominated possession 61-39, but we had the better XG. We had
Yep.
more shots, 11-9. They had 4 on target. We had 3. 2 big chances each. 2 big chances missed each. Passing accuracy, we were 83% and they were 91%. So, yeah, slightly less for us.
We also had 5 block shots to their 1.
Yeah, 4 corners to their 1, 8
Yep.
fouls we committed. They committed 15. So obviously they are physical side,
Dirty bastards.
and but in terms of that, it wasn't like you said. They were just that little bit more clinical than us.
Yeah.
And we won more duels than them. We won more ground duels than them. We won more aerial duels than them. We had more successful dribbles than them. So it was literally down to those 2 chances and the moment that they capitalized. And I really do think had we scored that first goal, we would have gone on to win the game.
Yeah, I agree. And then the second goal, I mean, we have 2. If we have those 2 chances that Watkins had today in every one of our games this season, our 38 games, I reckon we're 2-0 up in 36 of the games. That's the level and quality of those chances. I wonder what the XG on those chances alone was, because you've got a whole goal to aim at both times. So yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's one of those things. And but it is frustrating because I went into this game with such optimism. I don't think we played great. I think there were some decent performances, as we said, Anana, Rogers, etc. But I don't think we were sparkling. Particularly, I don't think we were that fluent in attacking areas. And for all of the good work of Rogers, I
Just
don't think.
once it got to the box or around the edge of the box,
Yeah,
I'd have wanted to see Bailey go down round the outside and put across him with his right foot, because he
yep,
did that a couple of times last season and it worked. I'd have liked to have seen us get maybe 1 or 2 extra players in the box. There was Rogers was getting in to sometimes to support Watkins, but I didn't really feel that McGinn was getting into the box enough. Or if
yeah,
Deeney was putting the ball across, I don't think Bailey was getting in at the back post enough. So
yep,
I felt like that we were a little bit cagey in sort of that sense. However, what I will say is, had we have got that first goal, we probably would have done that then, because the spaces would have opened up a little bit more. It was definitely, we, Arsenal could have said exactly the same about them. Oh well,
yeah,
we didn't get enough players in the box. Havertz didn't have any chances.
yeah,
Whoever
yeah,
else
yeah,
didn't have
yeah,
any. They
yeah.
would have
It's
said
true.
exactly the same stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And if they'd brought on, I don't know, and Nketiah, I know he's obviously linked with Forest, and he didn't perform, they would have gone, oh yeah, like we did with Duran. He's all right one week, he's not the next. Everyone's got the same beef.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've got up to the box the physicality, obviously, of Morgan Rogers, the energy, obviously, of Anana. I think we've got that sort of energy. Ramsey's exactly that kind of player. I think Philogene has got bags of energy. Bailey, when he's at it, we're lacking guile. I don't mean from Street Fighter 2, for those that might jump in the comments. Although that would be what did he used to do? Hadouken, or was that Ryu? I can't remember what it was.
That was
Sonic
Ryu.
Sonic Boom, wasn't
Sonic
it?
Boom.
Sonic Boom, Guile. We need someone to do a Sonic Boom, create some, through the eye of a needle passing. Do that's something which is akin to what Grealish would have done for us, albeit a slightly different type of player. And that's where I think we're lacking right now, when maybe you're at the edge of the box, you've got to go up against a good defence. Basically, what that pass, don't know who it was, but the one who put the pass through for Saka to get the cross in, just a clever little pass behind the back of the defence, can make all the difference. And yeah, I just am frustrated because, I thought we were going to win 3-0.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there you go.
People, just before we finish up, we're just going to ask Kev one more question before we finish up. Make sure you smash the like button, please. We've got nearly 200 watching on a Saturday night, which is crazy. Still supporting us and supporting the channel. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. We're so close to 4,600. We're obviously on the road to 5K. So you guys, please hit the subscribe button as well and keep your comments flowing in. I just wanted to touch on the fact of we've got Leicester away next, and as you've said before, if we play anything like we did the last two games, we should be winning that game. And then after that, we've got very winnable games. I believe we've got Everton at home, we've got Watford at home, and is it Ipswich away in between, in and around that as well. So we've got a really good opportunity to put a good run of results together, and again get this squad fit and firing. There will be Champions League games, I'm sure, in between around that. But yeah, Everton home, Wolves at home, Ipswich away. Then we've got Man United at home and Fulham away, and Bournemouth at home, all before the end of October. That's
Yeah.
that's not a bad run of fixtures.
Well, it's not at all. It's not at all. I mean, November we're playing Spurs, Liverpool away, and Chelsea away. So that's 3 of our 4 games. So that's obviously going to be a tricky month. So you want to try and get the points in the bank. But yeah, all of them. But I think Aston Villa play anybody now, particularly at home. And also, like I say, particularly at home, we had some fantastic away results last season. We beat Chelsea. We beat obviously Arsenal. I don't know if the guy in the chat room remembers that when they were going for the league title and all that to do was beat shitty Aston Villa. Apparently we are, and we were in their shadow for years and we're living on past glories, but you couldn't beat us at home to win the league. We beat Chelsea away. We had some really good away performances. So I have confidence, but we could bounce back from this result today. You win a couple of those next games. I mean, look, we start to look at it now and think, well, Leicester, you should really be winning that, because obviously we are a top team now, but it won't be easy. It won't be easy going
No,
to Leicester.
no.
Premier League
Always a
game
tough
now at
game to
home.
go to. Yeah, they'll have a good atmosphere there, but
Everton, Wolves
we,
at home, Ipswich away. Those 4 games really. If you're looking at Leicester away, Everton, Wolves at home, Ipswich away, I think you've got to be looking at 12 points from those 4
mm,
games. If you really want to contend for the top 4, because let's be clear, Ipswich, Everton, Leicester are likely to be the bottom 5 teams. Those looking at what the season's like, and the other one obviously is Wolves, and I think they'll probably be bottom 8. So
mm,
if you look at those teams, if you look at the the FPL, when you get kind of difficulty of games in terms of the colours, these will be probably up there in terms of easier games. No easy games in the Premier League. Like we spoke on the last pod, we beat all and sundry at Villa Park for nearly 10 months. We won 15 home games in a row, and it was the worst team that some say the Premier League's ever seen, Sheffield United, that ended that for us. So you can't get carried away, but I'd love to see us bounce back with a bang, with a really commanding, confident performance away at Leicester, showing everyone what we're all about.
definitely. Well, look, we will be there for it over the
Hopefully.
course of the week. Yeah. I think that does us, Kev. To be fair, for the match reaction, good performance, but ultimately disappointing result. We'll be back with Fans Forum next week, talking tactics with Gareth, and obviously Leicester previews and everything like that to come. Make sure you smash the like button, people, on your way out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 5K. Thank you very much, Kev. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.